record. All right, so Dre, you said you had an idea you wanted to pitch.
Yeah, we were looking at that thing. Let me just jog my memory because, in all honesty, in the 5 minutes we were gone, I did forget it.
That's impressive in a couple ways.
You know,
You mean the oops, that's not the what I was looking for. You mean the assignment write-up page? Is that what you're referring to?
you were sharing your screen to it. Like, I'm already looking at the Zork plus.
This page or to this?
No, that yes.
Okay.
Oh yes, okay, hunger. Okay, just you said that we were supposed to figure it out now, and so I wanted to pitch my idea about hunger and how it would work.
Go for it.
So I think that there should be a hunger counter.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that the hunger counter should not be apparent at the beginning of the game. So hunger would be a thing that you would have to worry about, once you've explored, dozen rooms or so.
Okay.
And so I think that the hunger counter should be, I guess.
So you're basically assuming that when you start on an adventure, you've been well fed and you're not lacking anything. Okay.
Yeah. And let's say, I guess for balance, how many rooms do you think it would take? What would the acceptable amount of, I guess, playtime be for you just to get that, like, oh yeah, like you're starting to get hungry message, we can set it so that at halfway you can say, like, once that hunger counter's ticked halfway, so you can set out a message saying, oh yeah, you're hungry and stuff.
The fact that we're talking about this while I'm eating is kind of ironic.
Yeah, I'd say that, let's say 12. Every move you make, not counting, like, say you go east, but like the room doesn't have an east exit, only, when there's an exit. It counts up to 12, but at 6, it sends you a message you start to get hungry. And then at 4, I think it should say your stomach grumbles. At 2, I think it should say, you're really getting hungry. And then at 0,
you start losing health or something.
Yeah, at 0 it says you begin to starve.
Okay, so let me see if I can simplify that a little bit. Every time you enter a room, your hunger counter goes down by 1.
Starts at 12, I'd say.
Sure, starts at 12. When it is 9, it gives you, your stomach starts rumbling. A snack right now would be good. At 6,
okay,
you're reminded how long it's been since you've eaten. At 3, man, I am really starting to get hungry. I could definitely use something to eat. After 0, you start losing 1 health point, hit point, whatever, per each time you enter a room.
Yes.
Okay, sound a little uncertain about that.
Yeah, I was just trying to figure out whether it should be every time you enter a room, or no. I do think every time you enter a room would be good, because I mean, say like entering a room would be, I guess, a way to like pass time.
Yeah.
But say
unless we want to incorporate a time mechanic.
Would we want to incorporate a time mechanic?
I personally would not, because the way the game is set up right now, there are too many elements that are freeform. We'd pretty much have to go back to square one and reconceptualize the game, I think, anyway.
Okay. No time. Then I guess, yeah. Every time you enter a new room. I mean, no, not a new room. Just every time you enter a room. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Then I mean, balancing health is also up to us as well, right?
Yeah.
And
Starts at 12, decreases by 1 every time you enter a room. Food. At 0. One. Okay.
yeah.
So basically like that.
Yeah.
Okay. So NPCs we're doing, but we're only going to do, communication wise.
Communication wise.
Yeah, we're not going to do trading or bartering or combat or anything like that.
We've only really talked about NPCs in respects to crafting, like
Right.
the only you gave. Is that the only way we'd be implementing them, or do you have any other ideas?
Well, right now, for simplicity's sake, I'm just thinking about using them as information fountains.
Okay.
Background lore, stories, helpful
Mhm.
hints, stuff like that. You can talk to them. You can, coerce more information out of them.
Mhm.
But
And to
that's
help the player, we could maybe they can give hints on like where to find different items, or if there's a secret exit in a room, they could say, "Oh, I heard a rumor that there's like this in that room over there."
Sure.
Something. Okay. Cool. I mean, I guess that would all be like up to the designer of the Zork file. So yeah. What about? I mean, I guess we. Yeah. Never mind.
What?
I wanted to talk about health and all the other stuff, but right now, I guess we're just talking about the supplemental features. So.
Well, I mean, if you got something to talk about for health, I think we got time to talk about it.
Well, I think that since hunger will tick, like once hunger is depleted, your health will tick by 1, I guess, each time you enter a new room.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to just, I guess, stay balanced and make it so that health is 12? So you have 12, you can enter 12 rooms basically to find food.
Yeah.
Which should be, I mean, enough because the Zork file for Zork 3 was like 10 rooms. That was like what the average one was.
Yeah.
Well,
I would like to throw just a note in there about having some sort of safety catch, for lack of a better word, to basically say, it goes through, looks up all of the items that have the effect it gives HP when used, and compare that to the number of rooms. So, like, say you have a dungeon that's, 29 rooms. Okay? There's not, between the hunger and the HP, there's not enough HP to explore all 29 rooms.
Mm-hmm. Well, then
So
I guess you
some sort of check that tells you, hey, there's only, 3 units of health in this dungeon.
I mean,
This dungeon may be unbeatable.
we could, but do we think that we should do that for this assignment?
I think
Honestly, yeah, I think we should.
I think we should let Alex talk. I think we've cut him off 3 times in a row.
Sorry, go ahead, Alex.
you're good. I think that would be a good idea to tell the player if it's unbeatable from here out, but just as a precaution in case that becomes like if someone wanders around aimlessly for enough rooms.
Yeah. Get trapped in the maze.
Yeah.
I mean, starving in the maze could be a thing.
It could be.
Yeah.
There were actually a couple times when I was doing that damn maze, I was like, can I die in here? It'll kill me.
Yeah, I hated that maze. I think the player should start out with a backpack full of some food and have there be plenty along the way, just so there's room for error at least.
Yeah.
And especially if, depending on the level of difficulty of our dungeon, maybe in the future we could set up easy, medium, and hard, where you get less health points.
Possible.
Something like that.
Certainly possible.
Wait, starting with an inventory is basically what you've suggested, Alex.
Yeah, starting with since you're going in the dungeon, maybe you'd start with some snacks and drinks and like supplies. I don't know.
Well,
start with a name brand granola bar.
Well, keep in mind one thing. What you start with is going to be a function of the Zork file.
Yeah, that's true.
Not the game. So we can certainly include the ability to check if the Zork file expects you to start with anything.
We could.
Actually, that brings me back to a thought I had last week. Previously, we were limited to being able to carry 40 units of material, 40 units of items.
Yeah.
What would you say to introducing a sliding metric whereby, for lack of a better word, the player has a strength stat? And as they level up, that strength stat increases, thus increasing their carrying capacity.
That sounds interesting.
Dre, you look like you're either stoned or trying to think.
Might be both, but I think, I mean, how would that work? Because people develop strength by carrying a lot of items, and like, I mean, you're saying you level up your strength by increasing your points in the game.
Yeah, I mean that was something else we need to talk about is score.
Yeah. So more score.
So say every 5 points. Or every 5 score points, your strength increases by 1, and thus your carrying capacity increases by 2.
In the code, because I really forgot where it was written, how do we take care of the 40-point limit? I guess how was Steven, because we're using his code now.
Yeah. Originally, we just had an exception that basically, if all the items currently in your game state inventory plus whatever you were adding exceeded 40, throw max load exception.
So we would change 40 to a variable, and then we would change that variable. We would incrementally increase the variable with the points.
Exactly.
I think that's definitely doable. So adding strength is definitely doable. So the longer you play, I guess the easier the game gets, in a way.
Okay.
If you think about it, though, that's an interesting concept. The longer you play, the easier the game gets. Because sometimes some games get harder as you play.
True. And that's certainly something to consider.
Yeah.
But also, the objective of this is to make the assignment, not necessarily make a good game.
Yeah. Or I guess, the objective is the grade, not the game we're making.
Yeah. Actually, on a side topic, something I did want to kind of toss on the table, a ongoing project that I've been tinkering with for about 2 years now. What's the best way I could describe this? Do you guys at least have a passing familiarity with how a game like Dungeons and Dragons works?
More or less.
No, never played, never looked at anyone play.
Okay. So the basic concept is you have a set of numerical stats.
Okay.
You know, strength, wisdom, accuracy, charisma, whatever.
Mm.
As you do actions, you have to test against your stats. And how well you pass or fail, determined by the game in question, sometimes determines what the outcome of the action is. Okay? So the project I've been tinkering with is kind of working with that basic idea and using it to kind of create an automated role-play outcome. That doesn't actually make as much sense saying it out loud as it did in my head.
I mean, would it be like kind of like Steven Star People that he showed us that made like that Dungeons and Dragons emulator, basically?
Well, no. What that was just a character creator.
Oh yeah, it wasn't
Yeah.
like a whole.
Yeah. The project I've been tinkering with is basically, okay, so let me put it this way. The system would utilize characters. You know, similar setup, you have the numerical stats. It will go through a file and read that file until it comes to a point where it has to do something. You know, try and coerce someone into doing something, attack something, defend from an attack, investigate something, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the file will tell it, character 1 conducts search, whatever it may be. The program then goes, okay, who do I have as character 1? Oh, I have Porthos the Grand. Okay, he's going to do a search, which means I use his accuracy skill. I do that check. He fails miserably or passes spectacularly, whatever. It then goes back to the file and says, okay, what's the result of passing this check spectacularly? And throughout the rest of the process, it continues to write an output file, basically a story based on these characters and the interactions. The basic idea is you could load up X number of characters with a story file, hit run, and get one story. Load up the same file with the same characters, hit run again. There's a good chance you'll get a different story.
What would cause it to have a different story? Would there be a random, like you'd use the the dot roll function? Oh,
yeah, random numbers. They pass some checks the first time around that they fail later. Different characters get put in different slots.
okay. I mean, that does seem very interesting.
So, I mean, it's just a project I have been tinkering with. I was kind of excited when Steven said we're going to be building Zork.
Yeah.
Because I was like, ooh, this might have some use for my long, fun project. So I just wanted to throw that on the table and, you know, put the question out there if you guys wanted to work on that outside of class, obviously.
Quick question about, I mean, this is also a little off topic, but also a little bit on topic, about like the actual Zork game made by the developers. I was thinking about it, and I don't think that, like, what our Zork does is it reads a Zork file, but their Zork is what it is. Like, there's no...
Yeah, it was all hard-coded.
Yeah. So, is there a way to, I mean, would that be easier? Do you think it would be easier to hard code a game like this, or to actually read from a file?
So, in my experience, it would be easier to do that as a hard-coded system. However, the trade-off is it would be more difficult to expand the system later.
Okay.
Because right now, what we have is we have an engine that knows what it can do. And that's it. Okay? What is the proper method of accomplishing something is up to the dungeon file. Okay? And because it's up to the dungeon file, you know, you can make a 2-room dungeon, you can make a 20-room dungeon, you can make a 4,000-room dungeon. and probably be murdered by everyone who plays it afterwards.
Yeah, sounds about right.
I mean, yeah, we're making it like a game program. We're kind of also, what we're really making is a program that can run games off of a file that is basically like you make the game from the file. So if you think about it,
I mean, you're not wrong. Of course, then
Yeah.
again, to be fair, most games that are made are built using the tools in the engine, which are what build the game itself.
mm,
So,
Yeah, that's how. Especially, you'll see it a lot in Bethesda games. A lot of them are built on the same engine. Like,
yeah, especially like any games that allow you to build something, like Fallout 4 shelter system.
mhm.
oh yeah,
You're just using a very stripped down and very limited version of the developer systems.
Mhm. Does Bethesda have a team for actually programming and then another team for game design, you think?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they have entire divisions for those things.
that would make sense.
Yeah, it's like you ever looked at the credit list for Fallout 4?
No.
Okay, I have. I've literally seen books with fewer words.
Well, yes, I
And
have also read
I'm not talking
Dr.
like Dr. Seuss books.
Oh, okay. Yes, I've also read the Magic Treehouse.
Okay, fair point on that one. I was thinking more like, preteen drama stuff, but yeah, same point.
Yeah. Well, so we were off topic for a bunch of points. Now, I think we should get back onto topic.
It happens. So yeah, I'm writing up the notes on the strength. So every X points, your player accrues, the strength stat increases by Y value. The strength affects your carrying ability. Plus 2 points of carry per point of strength, maybe? So that is one thing we do need to talk about. Where did my window go? Window, come home, window. There you go. Okay, so the required events or items. Okay, so score and health. If the player types score, their numerical score on a scale of your choosing will be displayed along with a text rank. So as an example, they type score. It says you have accumulated 25 points. This gives you the rank of amateur adventurer.
My question is, what increases score?
Well,
that's what we're going to talk about.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I definitely think at the end, any extra, if you haven't, if you have extra health at the end, or if your hunger is, if you're not super hungry, you get bonus points for that accrued up at the end.
End of what?
When you win the game, like if, like say you win with 10 health left, like you barely took any damage, and like 9 hunger, then maybe like at the end there could be a message that said you have 9 hunger points left, plus 9 to your score, and you had 10 health remaining, plus 10 to your score. And like, I don't know, those could be factored in as bonus points maybe when throughout the game there would already be things that improve your score. Like he gave examples of things that could up your score. Like where is it? In his events example,
Mhm.
You would if you recycled the squish can, your score would go up by 5. Or if you wave the magic wand, your score would also go up by 5. Like those in-game events could improve your score, but I also think in the end, if not just to make the score seem like, the bigger the better. Like getting all if you're rewarded for doing well in the game, I think you should get a better score.
Okay. On a side note, I just had a somewhat perverted thought of, include the Explorer option with the Magic Wand. -5 score.
Oh.
It's like, so that seemed like a good idea at the time. -5. By the way, you may pee an odd color later.
Oh no. Do you want to implement okay, maybe not for this assignment, but I think it's just an interesting idea, like a scoreboard, since we are keeping a score.
Like a physical scoreboard, putting up like 5 maybe?
I don't know. I mean, we'd have to have a way to keep track of everyone who's played the game's score.
You're talking about multiplayer.
Oh yeah.
Kind of. I mean, you know how arcade machines had scoreboards, kind of
Sure.
like that. So maybe a scoreboard just for the system that has the game, or I don't know, but it's off topic.
Well,
We're not gonna
that's not a bad idea. And actually, what we could do, include a player name attribute in the game state.
We could include a restart at the end. That when you restart, it adds to a scoreboard, and so every time you play the game, you die, you restart, you win, you restart. So when you die, you have like an ending score, and when you win, you have an ending score, and those all add up to like a scoreboard. And you can name your different playthroughs, I guess. I don't know, but that's just again
That's a
little
possibility. Something we can toss on the pile and talk about.
Mm-hmm.
I will say I don't think that's something we want to spend time doing for the assignment.
Yeah.
Excuse me. But yeah, definitely having the ability to export to the save file your current score and how many times you've run this particular dungeon. I don't think that's any huge issue. Likewise, reading it back in.
Give me a sec. My mom's calling.
Yeah, apparently the 40-minute time limit is not when you share a screen. So, what is the upgrade?
Sorry,
$150. Fuck that.
What?
Sorry, just out of curiosity, I went to look and see what the upgrade option for Zoom is. Because we got the 40-minute warning coming up.
Yeah.
$150?
Yeah.
Oh, that's terrible.
Yeah, I was like, fuck that noise.
$150. Jeez.
All right. So I mean, yeah, we could certainly implement a scoreboard system like an arcade. I don't think that'd be too difficult.
But I agree, definitely not for this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right, but going back to the score in general.
Yes.
How do we want to handle the score? Like +1 point every time you enter a room, +1 point for picking up an item, +1 point for dropping an item,
well, here's
+1 point for crafting.
If it's always going to be +1 point, then at the end, if your health is going to be added up, your health is actually going to increase your score by a lot at the end of the game, which would not, I don't think it would be as balanced. So do you want to do like by 5s, incremented by 5s?
Increment what by 5s? Everything
Like,
I just listed off, certain things?
Yeah, everything. Like every time you enter a room, +5. Every item you get +5. Every, say, enemy. Oh, wait, are we adding enemies?
No.
Okay, never mind. But yeah, anyway, like definitely a way to balance it. And by 5s is
okay.
I see what you mean. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. Okay. So +5 points for the following. Entering a room, picking up an item, dropping
But,
an item.
Wait, if we do that, the people could cheese the game by just dropping and picking up an item over and over again.
I mean, okay, you're not wrong, but this is a class assignment,
Well, yeah, but I
not
mean,
a sellable product.
you know how we did been here for room? We could do like,
If been here is true, then don't improve the score or don't
Wait.
increase the score.
oh yeah, that for rooms, and for items we can add like already picked up or something like that, just another Boolean value. Do you think we can do that? Because if not, then
Yeah,
I-
I do think we can do that.
okay. But then if you think that it isn't important to do that, then we could skip out on it. I can see why.
It's definitely not important, but I think it's possible.
Yeah, I basically it boils down to this. At face value, I agree with it. I think it's a good idea.
Mhm.
My problem is we need to be super, 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 super cautious about what we spend our time on,
Mhm.
and worrying about game balance is not anywhere near the top of that list.
Okay. All right. Yeah, you do have a point. So, yeah, okay.
Okay, so I mean, like, we can make it, plus 150 points for picking up the item the first time, and then 0 points after that, and then plus 20 points every time you enter a room.
Mhm.
Fine, fantastic, done. That's what we can do with. I don't want to get hung up on well, is it the same? Is it, game breaking if the wand is 10 points, but the axe is 5 points?
Well, yeah. I mean, we
You
can
know,
just
not
make
when-
all the items same,
Okay.
stuff like that.
So, yeah, game balance is something we could worry about outside the scope of this class. So, okay, so we've got a list, plus 5 points for the following: entering a room, picking up an item, dropping an item, crafting an item. Anything else you can think of that you would want to include in that list?
I guess not. Maybe if you open a door, I'm not sure. If it depends on what we'll have in the dungeon, but if you open a door with a special key you made or something, or even just making the key,
No, that'd be crafting.
yeah.
So, but yeah,
If it was an
a
important
locked door.
if it was an important item to open a door, or you needed to
Items will.
I guess you get the point of what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. If we open a locked door, then, well, okay, behind that door, wouldn't that be like a room that wouldn't be accessible, like, unless you would open that, like, locked door, right?
Yeah.
And so by entering that room, you would already have like a bonus of +5, right?
Right. So
So
you
you
get, the 5 points for entering the room,
Mhm.
plus 5 points for having unlocked the door.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah. And then some items may grant their own score bonus. Like the magic wand, for instance.
Okay.
Yeah. I think that was just an example he included in there.
Well, did you include using items?
Not on that list. Do we want to include using items in general?
Steven has it in his. Like some certain items will give you some score.
Right. Some items will.
Mhm.
Magic wand has wave, score 5. Star Wars toy, touch, score 1.
Okay.
But compared to, say, the Wawa travel mug, refill, well, you win.
Yeah.
So, or the donut, you eat. -2 wounds. Or stomp, the donut is now smushed.
We could do like C++, exterminate from this timeline. You win the game.
I say we should really include a item as a hidden thing in the dungeon. You know, guide to the best programming language known to man, C++. You know, plus 5 points to your grade. May not be in this class. You know, something like that.
Okay. So we definitely have a teleport feature that we have to do, right? Because it's in the
Yeah.
And we also have a transform. Now, is transform?
Yeah.
Transform. It's actually crafting, basically.
Looks like it, yeah.
With just one item, though, if you do a certain command. Or two.
So wait. So then, crafting won't be a supplementary feature.
Well, transform just takes a can, performs an action, and changes it to a crushed can.
Okay. So
Whereas crafting takes 2 or more items,
mm.
combines them, and creates a new item.
I mean, can't you craft a can into like a shiv?
I don't know. I've never done jail time.
Oh, I'll tell you straight up. Every time I got my hands on a can. No.
Yeah,
But,
sorry, Dre. You were not the one making shivs in prison.
look, let's just say I don't eat any milk with my cereal, and I always enter the salty spittoon.
I'm sure you do. I'm not even sure what that last part means.
Oh, it's a SpongeBob reference.
Welcome.
We're better off not knowing.
I had a bowl of nails for this morning. You got me thinking of it now.
Anyway.
Yeah.
So, okay. All right, so score, plus 5 points when you perform this action. I'm guessing we're just going to have a score class. And